Well, the first thing is that the digital naturally is a new industrial revolution, right? So like electricity 100 years ago, people are just changing the way they work. Used to work without electricity, and all of a sudden when it arrived, not only they changed the way they worked, but they basically changed their work and then changed the people, because the entire society is changing. That's what's happening today. And that's why the leading companies that we see all around the world are companies that are very digitalized, if not fully digitalized, like Amazon, Google, and so on, we hear about all day long. And that integration of digital in our daily life is just, I would say, not the beginning, but we're at the middle of a transformation. Now, that brings us as CEOs, as leaders, in a position where we're changing from intuition, from a feeling, from experience, to having more elements to analyze and make what you call data-driven decision. So today, in order to adapt to this very fast-moving world and fast-changing environment, people need to have as much data as possible, not in terms of quantity, but in terms of angles, to be able to be quicker in adapt for one specific reason. Competition is way bigger and stronger than before. Each decision we make in our life goes through 4 steps. I collect data, I structure data, I analyze data, and I make a decision. That works through all decisions, even personal one. Should I move to Dubai? I collect data. What's the weather? I structure it. I compare whether, how much money I'm going to make and so on. I analyze, I compare with other places, and I make my decision. Now, the problem in business is that the 2 first steps are very long. Collecting data, structuring it is extremely long, especially in industries like luxury, where data is really unstructured. Now, the challenge is not to reduce the time to analyze or to make decision, because this is human. I'll need a certain time to analyze and take the decision. We don't say we have the best technology in the world. We don't say we have the smartest guys in the world, but we say we have the best technology fitted to the needs of, let's say, the luxury industry. And we have the best analysts that understand data. That's something very important, because you need these two to go together. So number 1 is this mix between data and business intelligence. Number 2 is the very strong link we have between our partners worldwide, because we created an ecosystem with more than 1,500 sources, and our board. We have at our board the former CEO of Hermes, the former CEO of Cartier, the former CEO of Van Cleef & Arpels, all of these amazing minds and leaders that are really giving us their view, their vision about what they need and what needs to be changed. So it's this ability to mix the power of the future with the power of the present and experience. Luxury is extremely human-driven, and that's why it's complicated. So the future to me is help companies do this transformation to make data at the core of their understanding and strategy. Because the truth is, if you look 15 years ago at the top 10 company in the world or in each region, and you look today, you'll be surprised to see how few are still there. Now I make the bet with you that in 50 years, you'll be surprised to see how few of today will still be there. So the question for a leading company today is, do I still want to be out there in 15 years? So if I take a very clear example, we work with a lot of companies that want to increase their sales to Chinese tourists. Just because China today is 9% of the world luxury market, but Chinese are 33% of the world luxury market. Now fast forward 2025, which is tomorrow, Chinese will be 46%. So if almost 50% of the world luxury market is made by Chinese, the very question everyone should ask is not, how can I sell more here? But stop everything, I should devote 50% of my time to them. I'm not sure a lot of CEOs do that. But even if they devote 10%, that would be good. Now, how can we help? And we do it every day. Number 1, targets. You have a product, you have a strategy that cannot fit to 1.4 billion people. So let's begin by targeting first what you want to do. You want to offer a service, a product, which kind of product, and then target your consumer. So for that, what you're going to do is, again, find a benchmark and tap into consumer base that we have with marketplaces to define persona, lookalike. What's your client? Woman, men, how old, where do they live, and so on. When you have this persona, we put them into lookalike system to communicate targeted to these people. Instead of talking to 1.4 billion, you're going to talk to maybe 100,000. Of course, I mean, it's all a matter of culture. if you've done things in a certain way for 30, 40 years and top management have been doing things for a certain number of time, then you're not very inclined to change everything you've been doing. It's complicated. It's a tough choice. Now with data and digital, at the beginning, people will do the same job the same way, but just quicker. That's step one. Then, because you use digital so much, you're going to be like, okay, I'm the same person doing the same job, but I'm not going to just do it the same way because these tools help me to not doing the old way, right? I'm going to change it. And then it will come a point where you're not going to do the same job anymore because with data and changing the way, you're going to do another job. And there will be the next point where it's not going to be the same you. It's going to be someone else. So that's what people fear. They fear by letting their work change in their process and in the way, they may end up losing the job because they will lose their way to do it. And I think that's actually like having a fire outside and say, I'm going to lock the door. It's okay so far. Because the truth is, the world will continue. So the sooner you adapt and the better you will be. You know, in Chinese, we say the longest journey begins with a single step. So you have to do the step.